Welcome back, deep divers. Today we're diving into a topic you might not expect, urban agriculture.
Urban agriculture.
But get this, we're going way beyond just, is it good or bad?
Right.
We're exploring its connection to all 17, that's right, all 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
Those global goals for a better future.
Exactly. From the UN. So consider this deep dive, your cheat sheet, to a massive study.
Massive.
Over 1,450 research publications on urban agriculture and the SDGs.
Wow.
Yeah, buckle up. By the end, you'll understand how urban agriculture can be this powerful tool for sustainable development. But
Right.
there are definitely some hurdles along the way.
Sure.
So let's unpack this huge study.
Okay.
It analyzed tons of research to see just how urban agriculture links to those sustainable development goals, the SDGs. What was the big takeaway?
Well, one of the most significant findings is that urban agriculture has more positive than negative impacts on the SDGs.
More positive.
Yes.
That's amazing.
We're talking 142 SDG targets with positive sentiments and 81 with confirmed positive links.
So it sounds like cities growing their own food could actually be a big part of tackling global issues, huh?
Absolutely.
How does that actually work?
Well, the study identified 6 key opportunities where urban agriculture can really shine, and the first one is pretty obvious.
Okay.
Safe, nutritious, and fresh food.
Makes sense.
Right. You've got urban farms fighting hunger and malnutrition.
Right.
Especially in neighborhoods where access to supermarkets is limited.
Yeah. And it's not just about access. It's also got to be about the environmental impact, right?
Exactly.
Urban farms could really cut down on food miles, packaging, waste.
Absolutely.
Like those rooftop greenhouses I've seen pictures of.
Yes.
Growing food right there in the city.
In the heart of it.
With way less waste than traditional systems.
Right. And then there's composting.
Oh, yeah, composting.
That's a big one.
How does that fit into the urban agriculture picture?
Composting is all about closing the loop.
Closing the loop.
Turning food waste into valuable fertilizer.
Ah, I see.
And it reduces the need for those synthetic inputs.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly.
Okay, so safe and nutritious food,
Yeah.
check.
What's the next opportunity?
Knowledge and literacy.
Knowledge and literacy.
Think of urban agriculture as a living classroom.
A living classroom. I like that.
Teaching people about everything from food and nutrition to climate change and sustainability.
It's hands-on learning.
Hands-on.
I love that.
The best kind.
It makes me think of those school gardens,
Yes.
especially the ones I've read about in Pretoria, South Africa,
Mm.
where they're seeing an actual improvement in students' knowledge and how much fruits and vegetables they eat.
Absolutely.
Seems like such a fun way to teach kids, you know?
Engaging.
Yeah, engaging.
About healthy eating and caring for the environment.
And it's not just school gardens, right?
No, not a...
We've got these high-tech urban farms using social media
Yeah, in Singapore.
to spread the word about sustainable living.
Spreading awareness. That's so cool.
It really is.
So we've got food security, education. What's next?
Ecosystem services, biodiversity, and environmental benefits.
Wow.
Think about those green spaces popping up in cities.
Yeah.
Improving air quality, reducing noise pollution, providing habitats for wildlife.
Like bringing nature back to the concrete jungle.
Exactly.
And it's not just about making things look pretty, right?
No, it's not.
You mentioned community gardens becoming social hubs,
They do.
improving everyone's quality of life.
Absolutely. And we can't forget agroforestry.
Agroforestry in the city.
In urban settings, yeah.
So trees in cities can actually help combat climate change.
They can by capturing carbon.
It's like this ripple effect of positive change.
It is.
Speaking of positive vibes, next up is social inclusion, right?
It got it.
Okay.
Urban agriculture has this amazing potential to bring people together
Yeah.
from all different backgrounds, break down barriers, create a sense of belonging.
Like, imagine urban farms becoming meeting points for residents.
Yes. In Bologna, Italy, for example.
Strengthening social bonds, building a more inclusive community.
Exactly.
It's like urban agriculture is weaving this tapestry of connection between people and nature
I love that.
right in the heart of our cities.
It's beautiful.
And we can't forget about the economic impact.
Of course not.
Right.
Urban agriculture can create green jobs, provide income,
Yeah.
boost local economies, especially for those who need it most.
Think of families relying on urban agriculture for both food and income.
Like in Malawi.
Yeah, that's inspiring.
It is.
So we've got safe, nutritious food, education, environmental benefits, social inclusion, economic empowerment.
We do.
What's the final opportunity on the list?
This one's all about well-being, psychological well-being.
Okay.
Studies show that urban gardening can do wonders for stress, social interaction, and mental health.
I can see that.
Yeah,
There's something so grounding and therapeutic about getting your hands dirty,
absolutely.
nurturing a plant from seed to harvest.
I've even read about research with cancer survivors
Cancer survivors.
showing that urban gardening significantly reduces stress.
Wow.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
It reminds us that we're part of nature,
Even in the city.
even in the most urban environments.
It's amazing to think about all these incredible opportunities.
It is.
But we need to be realistic.
We do.
Urban agriculture isn't a magic solution.
Right.
And the study highlights some hurdles we need to be mindful of. Like, what's the first one?
Well, this one might surprise you.
Okay.
Urban agriculture can actually be exclusive to certain groups
Exclusive.
if it's not managed carefully.
That's counterintuitive.
It is.
But if access to land and resources and funding isn't equitable,
Right.
it could make inequality worse.
Exactly.
So we need to be mindful of who's benefiting from these initiatives
Absolutely.
and make sure they're available to everyone, not just those with more resources.
Everyone.
I read about this study in New York City that found white-led urban farms were getting way more funding than those led by people of color.
That's a problem.
It is.
And then there's gentrification.
Gentrification.
As urban agriculture makes neighborhoods more desirable,
Yeah.
it can drive up property values
All right.
and displace longtime residents.
So how do we ensure urban agriculture benefits existing residents and doesn't push them out?
Well, that's a complex issue for sure.
Yeah.
But there are strategies like community land trusts,
Okay.
affordable housing policies, and inclusive urban planning.
So we really have to think about everyone.
Exactly, a holistic approach that benefits all community members.
It's a reminder that urban agriculture has so much potential, but needs to be implemented thoughtfully.
Thoughtfully and equitably.
So what's the next hurdle we need to think about?
Contamination and pollution.
Yeah.
You have to remember, cities aren't exactly pristine environments.
Right.
Heavy metals, industrial pollutants, contaminated water.
That's a bit scary.
It can be.
So how do we ensure the food grown in these urban areas is safe?
Well, regular soil and water testing is key.
Of course.
You can also use raised beds, choose the right crop varieties, and make sure you're composting properly.
It seems like location is everything.
Location and context are crucial.
Yeah, so what's the next challenge, though?
Water security,
Oh, yeah.
especially in places already facing water scarcity.
It makes sense that urban agriculture could put extra strain on water resources if it's not done sustainably,
Exactly.
especially in drier climates.
For example, over-reliance on groundwater for irrigation.
Yeah.
That's a major concern in water-stressed areas.
Did the study mention any specific examples of that?
They highlighted the Gaza Strip.
Wow. So even something like urban agriculture, which seems so positive, can have unintended consequences.
If it's not managed carefully,
What's the final hurdle we need to talk about?
the potential for high energy and resource use.
Oh.
Some urban agriculture practices, like heated greenhouses,
Yeah.
can be quite energy intensive.
So you're saying we need to consider the whole life cycle of our food
From production to consumption.
to really understand its impact.
Absolutely.
And what about pesticides and fertilizers?
Another area where caution is key.
Yeah.
While some urban farms are shifting to more sustainable practices.
Like organic farming.
Yes, like organic farming and integrated pest management.
But the overuse of fertilizers and pesticides is still a risk.
To both human health and the environment.
So we've covered a lot,
We have.
from exciting opportunities to potential challenges.
It's a complex topic.
But why should our listeners care about all of this?
That's a good question.
Even if they're not farmers or gardeners themselves,
Right.
why is urban agriculture important?
I think the big takeaway is that urban agriculture is a powerful tool.
Okay.
It has the potential to create a more sustainable and just food system.
More just system.
But we need to understand both the benefits and the challenges.
So thoughtful planning and execution are key.
Absolutely.
How do we make sure these initiatives are accessible to everyone,
That's the question.
not just a select few?
Right.
How do we minimize the environmental impact
Right.
while maximizing those social and economic benefits?
It all comes down to collaboration,
Collaboration.
community engagement, and a willingness to learn and adapt.
I love that idea of urban agriculture as this collaborative process.
It's not just about growing food.
It's about building community,
It's about resilience.
creating a more just and sustainable future for everyone.
Exactly.
It's recognizing that food is a human right
It is.
and a catalyst for positive change.
Absolutely.
And now I'd like to go back to the idea of urban agriculture and well-being. We touched on it earlier,
Yeah,
but I think it deserves more attention.
me too.
Tell me more about the psychological benefits of urban agriculture.
Well, think about it.
Okay.
Urban gardening can offer peace, purpose, and connection
In the middle of the city.
in the midst of all that busyness.
Yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air.
There's something incredibly grounding about getting your hands in the soil,
Yeah.
nurturing plants, witnessing the cycles of nature.
You mentioned studies showing it can reduce stress and improve mental health.
There's research showing that spending time in nature
Even in urban green spaces?
lowers levels of the stress hormone, cortisol,
Cortisol,
and gardening can release endorphins.
those feel-good chemicals.
Exactly, the ones that boost our mood.
So it's like a natural antidepressant.
You could say that.
And it's not just individual benefits, right?
Oh, not at all.
Urban gardens can build social connections too.
They can.
A sense of community.
Right.
I read about this study where people participating in community gardens felt less lonely and isolated.
It makes sense.
It does.
When you're working together,
Towards a shared goal,
like growing food,
it naturally brings people together.
and that sense of purpose and belonging,
It can be really powerful.
especially in cities where people can feel disconnected.
So urban agriculture isn't just about food.
Oh.
It's about well-being.
About fostering connections
Creating a sense of place.
in an increasingly urban world.
Exact.
It's about remembering we're part of something bigger,
Yeah.
connected to nature
And that we can make positive changes.
in our communities.
It's amazing how something as simple as growing food in cities can have such a profound impact.
It is.
But it's important to remember that even small actions matter.
They do.
You don't need a big backyard or rooftop
Right.
to enjoy the benefits of urban agriculture.
So what can our listeners do
Yeah.
to support urban agriculture?
Even if they live in an apartment.
Even if they have limited space?
What are some tangible actions they can take?
Well, you can start by supporting your local farmers markets.
Farmers markets.
Look for restaurants that source their ingredients from nearby urban farms.
Oh, yeah.
And how about volunteering at a community garden?
That's a great idea.
It's a great way to learn, connect, and contribute.
And you can advocate for change.
Yes.
Let your elected officials know you care about this. Encourage them to support policies that help.
Exactly. Your voice matters.
It does.
And what's really exciting is that urban agriculture is always changing.
Always changing.
There's so much innovation.
Like what?
Vertical farms, aquaponics, things like that.
Aquaponics, that's combining fish and plants, right?
Exactly. They're really pushing the boundaries.
Creating more sustainable and resilient food systems.
It's incredible to see.
It's like urban agriculture is a testing ground for the future of food.
A living laboratory.
But technology is only part of the picture, right?
Absolutely.
We also need to focus on community,
Yes.
education.
And addressing the systemic issues
That's a big one.
that perpetuate food insecurity and inequality.
It's about empowering communities,
To take control.
create a better future for everyone.
You got it.
So before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to go back to something we talked about earlier.
Okay.
If you could design an urban agriculture project for your city,
For my city.
what would you prioritize
What would I prioritize
to maximize its positive impact?
to make the biggest difference?
What would be your top 3 goals?
That's tough.
I know, but if you had to choose.
Okay. I think my top priorities would be equitable access
Equitable access.
to resources and opportunities.
That makes sense.
Promoting community ownership and leadership.
Okay.
And minimizing environmental impact through sustainable practices.
It's about a system that benefits everyone.
Exactly.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive.
It has.
We've covered so much about urban agriculture,
From the opportunities.
to the challenges.
Hopefully it sparked your curiosity.
Maybe even inspired you to get involved.
Get your hands dirty.
Maybe even start your own little urban farm.
Why not?
A window box of herbs.
A community garden plot.
A rooftop full of veggies.
The possibilities are endless.
They are.
Remember, even small actions can make a big difference.
So true.
Get out there, join the movement.
For a more sustainable and delicious future.
That's what it's all about.
Until next time, deep divers.
Happy growing.
Keep diving deep.